All right, good evening. It is Tuesday, March 4th, 2025. Time is 6 p.m. and we're going to open up the select board meeting. All members are present and we are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and the flag is in the corner. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Are there conflicts of interest in the upcoming agenda? Okay. So we're gonna start right off with our first agenda item. Would somebody like to move this?
Okay, I will move the executive session for under M1 MRSA 4056A for personnel matters and 1 MRSA section 4056C real estate. Second.
Before we vote on this, is it? Because there are two different executive sessions, should we?
Go into one and exit and come out?
Yeah.
You can.
I would recommend you do that, yes.
One half
Okay.
dozen of the other, so.
He
I'm happy to do that.
recommended we go into one and then come
Yeah.
out and.
Yeah, so I'm saying this, I think either way is fine.
I'm not sure, just in case there's any action after the first one.
Yeah, that's fine.
So should we restate the motion?
Yeah,
I think I'd like to do that in case there's.
so which one do you want to do first, Trent?
Let's do the first one on the list.
Personnel?
Yeah,
Move to enter into executive session in accordance with 1 MRSA section 4056A for personnel matters.
Second.
all in favor? Okay,
And people in Zoom into the waiting room. It's just us. Can you still hear me?
I can.
Okay, great. We're moving.
And I'll just note the video is still recording.
Thank you.
SA. Personnel matters.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to. Excuse me?
No action taken.
No,
Yeah, no action taken. We're gonna enter.
Should we rescind the motion?
I guess not, because we've
We had
completed
on
it,
the
but we'll
table.
just go back in a little bit. I think it's fine the way it's going.
Okay. So I'm gonna make a motion to enter executive session 1 MRSA 4056C real estate.
Second.
All in favor?
Exit executive. Motion to exit executive session in accordance with 1 MRSA section 4056A, excuse me, 6C for real estate, yeah.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, there's no action to be taken at this time. We're going to, on the agenda, we're gonna put the second executive session at the end of the meeting, so we're gonna go along with meeting minutes.
Move we approve the select board meeting minutes for February 4th, 2025.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Move we approve the select board meeting minutes for February 18th, 2025.
Second.
Discussion.
All in favor? Warrants,
Uh, move we approve accounts payable number 40 in the amount of $48,923.37.
Second.
discussion,
That's a little more than the usual. What is the major, or the major?
One of our contractual agreements for plowing, so that got paid out, you'll see that on there, as well as the Maine Municipal Association fees, that comes up yearly, so that just got paid out as well.
all in favor?
Move we approve payroll number 38 and number 39 in the amount of $14,099.76.
Second.
Discussion,
So you'll see that there were two there, we just had left out one person individual, so we reran that and did it again. But combined it for the state filing. So it was fine.
Thank you.
Mhm.
all in favor? Okay. Old business, we had tabled a, discussion around the town treasurer ordinance, let's take a look at that. Would someone like to lead off?
Well, one thing that I think we sort of need to determine is, do we want to, do we want to have on a number, there's a number of ordinances that I think we need to get a bunch of, deadlines set for, to be sure that they can all get done before the June meeting, okay? And so on the treasurer's ordinance, first thing, do we agree that we need a new treasurer's ordinance?
Yeah, the other
Yes.
one is significantly out of date.
Okay,
I'm
then
looking for a copy of it. I do it with me.
do we, the new treasurer ordinance, would that be on at a floor vote at the town meeting in June? Okay. Do you want to have a developmental public hearing on that ordinance, where before we finalize it, to put on the warrant, that we have a public hearing to have people talk about what they like or don't like about it, and what they might want to add or subtract from it? It's not required by the law, but it probably isn't a bad idea, but it's whatever.
I don't know if we've done it before, but it doesn't hurt to have that open for people so they could have something.
Okay, well, Trent, you're the guy with the white beard here from the last 8 years or 9 years. Normally, when we've had public hearings, have they been to find out what people want to put in the ordinance, or have they just been to talk about what we say it's gonna be, and have already decided it?
We've done both.
Okay.
We've done both. I mean, I think before I'm able to make that decision, I would look at the significant changes that we might be considering, if any. And if they're more minor, then I would say not necessarily a public
Okay.
hearing. But if we're looking at fundamental sort of shifts,
Mhm.
then I think
Okay,
Well, the old one has us electing the treasurer, so that's kind of fundamental. Is that
yes.
correct?
and that's
That's helpful.
But the town, I'm hoping, although I have never found it, I'm hoping the town sometime change that.
that's correct.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay, I've got the wrong one that I was referring to.
It was never
Is this the old?
It was
the old-
Never really
is this
documented.
the old-
rescinded.
No, that's the,
Oh,
this
I
is the
see.
new
this is the
one.
one, okay. Would the town be fine if, under this ordinance, if with the town adopting this ordinance, and we decided to have the treasurer be the town manager, everything could be fine? Or not?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well, we're facing the decision of whether to make the town manager the treasurer or not, right?
No, that's not necessarily. I think the question that maybe. Is the who supervises the treasurer? That's really the one of the more,
So, okay.
because currently the select
Is
board.
that in our packet, the treasurer's ordinance?
No, I brought it with me.
I brought one with
I
me
tried- it was
from
on-
last
online.
year or something.
Anybody got an extra one? Cause I did it, but I didn't bring one with me.
I've got one here. Does anybody want it?
Yes, ma'am, I could use.
Sure.
Well, I thought.
I have my
it was
notes at the
considered
bottom.
Should be given to have
Oh,
the
that's
town manager be also do the treasurer's work
Do you want,
or not.
I think depending on how we frame the treasurer ordinance, it could provide the opportunity for that to happen. If
Okay,
that
but so
seems.
this would not require that one way or another. This requires.
I think what's preventing that, if that's a desirable option, is the fact that. No, that's not necessarily true either. I think the biggest question, it came up during the hiring committee process, was the question around supervisory roles and the checks and balances. And sort of the town's desire to have the treasurer be overseen by a town manager, or the treasurer to be overseen by the select board. And so that's, in my opinion, that's kind of the hot debate
Okay.
in terms of, where the town sees that.
And does this version
And
of the
that would-
document,
yeah,
I'll just finish that. That would may lend itself to your idea of a public input and hearing. If that's the
You want-
direction we want to go.
you want to go through kind of the gist of what I've suggested, and there's just, okay. The treasurer's duties, well, first off, I look for treasurer ordinances in all to other towns, and there's not many out there. Well, actually, I haven't found any. As far as the supervision goes, a lot of towns, the town manager is the treasurer.
Right.
Well, lots of places. But anyway, what I tried to do here, and I don't have a red line because it's way different than the old ordinance. One thing I wanted the treasurer to do is, with each disbursement warrant, I want the treasurer to be responsible to check things out thoroughly and provide with that warrant a certification, something that he signs that says the funding for all the payments scheduled on this warrant is provided for in the town budget, and none of the payments will result in an overdraft. And that all the scheduled payments are supported to the treasurer's satisfaction by invoices or other evidence that they're proper town expenditures. Unless, and there could be unless they're listed in an exception. Okay, so somebody, and I think it was Lloyd, said some of these sentences are a little bit long. And they are. I took this subparagraph A and I ran it through AI, and it gave me a better version. It's not here, but it can be made a little bit clearer. Okay. The next thing is, I said that the select board should review at its second scheduled meeting each month a summary report. And there's a report that gets printed out of the program that we have, an expense detail report that provides all this information.
I'm really grateful that you
Yeah.
put that in there.
At the end of in the second meeting each month, I'd like the treasurer to send us a report that shows for all the things, the amount budgeted, the year-to-date expenditures, the remaining unexpended balance, and the percent expended to date. Then the law requires us to examine the accounts of the town no less than quarterly. And so the C down there, I asked the treasurer, I say they should present the select board a report and briefing at its second scheduled meeting in September, December, March, and May on the town's financial health. And then I say what that should show. It shows the balance of funds available to the town and any significant changes thereto since the previous report. How much do we have in the bank?
Right.
Updates on the status of our budget reserve accounts, including unallocated reserve, projections of cash flow, basically just telling us where we are and how we're doing. Then the treasurer, I said, is responsible to provide on-site oversight and review to ensure that all the tax revenues and fees collected for licenses and services provided, all the gifts, grants, and proceeds, everything, all the money we get in are appropriately accounted for in the town accounting system. And then he should provide oversight, or she should provide oversight of the bookkeeping and financial record keeping functions. Assist in preparation of the budget, and assist with the town's accounting firm in performing the annual audit. And then this paragraph 4
Mm.
gets to the problem that you talked about. I'm kind of saying it's the intent of the ordinance that the treasurer exercise independent judgment in performing these duties and can direct any communication regarding any of those duties directly to the select board. But under the town manager plan, form of government, the town manager is responsible to the select board for the administration of all town departments and offices over which the select board has control. That includes the treasurer. And so I'm calling these kind of dual and parallel lines of responsibility, and they exist to create and promote a healthy system of checks and balances. I'm suggesting the treasurer is not independent from the town manager, but it's not a strict chain of command either, where the treasurer can't come and talk to us and must go through the town manager. So the idea is the treasurer works under the town manager, but has direct input to the select board. And that's sort of the gist of what I've suggested. And it's probably could use a lot of improvement,
Mhm.
and I'm sure we'll want to mark it up.
Mhm.
So some of the old, I didn't do a mapping line for line, some of the old ordinance had elements of this. I think this is a much better representation of what we would probably want, more specificity. I didn't go back and see whether there was anything.
Ukraine, and what we've seen in recent days is, huge number of drone attacks continuing on Ukraine. A reminder, of course, that while all these talks continue, I just wondered if I could get your assessment of how you see things going militarily, I should say, given this news now as well.
Well, without American weapons, it is going to be easier for the Russians, no doubt about it. I mean, while I was in Kyiv, for example, they had their worst, the biggest drone attack they've had since the start of all this from the Russians. The Russians have also been boasting about that on their own outlets. And, for hours that night in the capital city, there were, you could see
We can't hear anything.
We seem to have lost the feed from the meeting.
Second that.
Yeah.
I think that's right. This is Ted. Logged off and logged in again, and I still don't have it.
Yeah. I did that as well.
And I don't either. Same thing.
Do you think there's anybody in the meeting who's actually monitoring?
I sent a message to that Bridget O'Rourke, who's supposed to be
That's
the
me.
host. Oh,
No,
okay.
but I don't know,
That
I
is
don't know
Bridget
how I
O'Rourke.
got made the host.
Okay,
Sitting here
well,
watching.
anyway.
Let me, I can text Betsy Clark. I think she's probably there.
I just
Okay,
did.
great.
I just did, Ted.
Thank you, Patty.
Yeah.
UK, this is BBC News.
No one.
First question is quite straightforward. What's your reaction to what we heard from the White House experts? Well, Virginia, thank you so much for having me. Of course, it's very worrying, and they're very but I don't have to worry about it with the analyze because the government need their support. If the situation by the government done, decided to take out any tax because of responsibility for Islamic security, it happened weeks ago, right? Right now, we see it's being executed with a very careful way for Ukraine. You talk about steps that need to be taken. What are those steps, though? Things change really quickly, so we hope that we'll have some insight from our allies about what could be done to fix the relations and even with that help. Because again, then maybe the step that will be taken from President Zelensky or from President Zelensky alongside their allies or from the Ukrainian parliament. But the question is like, what's the end game? Because there is one question, Virginia, that we haven't an answer to with all that we have been talking about is what are the security guarantees that can be there? How do we make sure that Russia would not attack us again? No matter what happens, but what is the thing? And there is no good answer. And everybody is asking what Ukraine is ready to cede, or what are the compromises, but the answer about the security guarantees is
Again.
Notice that in the Parks and Recreation, the Parks ordinance, you had a line in there that said, the adoption of this ordinance.
I should have, that should have been in here also.
Yeah, I stuck a
No,
line down there. I don't know if you
it
saw
should,
it.
it should have been, that same language that was
Right.
in the Parks ordinance should be in this one.
I was wondering if that might help us.
It should
Yeah.
be, yes.
Because who knows what,
No, it ought to be.
okay.
You have an opinion about what the term should be? This is blank right now.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
but yeah, I didn't know what you wanted to say, 3 years, 2 years?
What Is there any mention of that in in our current ordinance of time?
I don't recall.
Oh,
We said it
Well,
was,
our current ordinance says the guy gets elected,
Yeah, it's
Dale
a-
gets elected every town meeting. It's our current ordinance, and I think that's what it says, doesn't it? Or no, they were elected for a 3-year term, 3-year
Were they?
term. That's correct, I'm
yeah,
sorry,
get away.
3-year term.
And that's 2 years.
I think a 3-year term is reasonable.
How good time for public comment?
About the treasurer.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we can do that right now.
I don't understand why they have a term. If they don't do their job, they should be fired. And they should definitely be under the direction of the town manager. Is anybody that gets a check signed by the town. That's fine.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. So we're gonna put this on an agenda.
For public comment.
After we bring it to an attorney to review, to make sure that the,
If you want to take it to the attorney first, that's fine. I mean, I just, then we might have to send it back
Oh,
if we
right,
decide to make
right.
changes.
right,
So why don't we take this draft as is, and then we'll start to have these
Yeah.
conversations with public input.
And it needs
Can
to
we
be,
correct
it needs
a
to be
couple of
fixed up,
typos?
yeah. it needs to be
and
fixed
if
up.
we have a
Yeah.
time frame, we have to, should we schedule that very soon? Where's my line?
My
Yes.
secretary is very incompetent. That's me,
Comment time for public hearings.
a public hearing, yes,
Official.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And you're suggesting that we would do that our next meeting?
I think we could do it the
Yeah,
next
yeah.
meeting.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, let's walk away with a plan to schedule
Okay,
so that we have something to
Yes.
move on from.
okay.
All right.
Good,
So
thanks.
as of tonight, we'll start to publicize a public hearing for
Yes.
the treasurer's ordinance.
Yes,
Okay.
and I'll fix it up. We can't really change it. I'll fix the typos. I'm gonna change paragraph 3A. Based on what the artificial intelligence people tell me it should read, which is not a big change, but I think it was a little bit clearer.
Add that
I'm
line.
gonna
at the
add
end.
I'm gonna add it supersedes prior ordinances language. And go with that. Is that okay?
And you're gonna point
Yeah.
to that we use the state statute, the
Yeah.
town manager.
Yes, let me put that in there.
In terms of clarification on what we're involving the public for in the next meeting. From a technical, I mean, a public hearing gets used broadly, because it's not. It's not technically a public hearing that's showing up a refined warrant. We're really just asking for a public work session in a sense. Is that correct?
Yeah, well,
Like a public hearing would imply that this would be a set in stone warrant article and then we would have the public hearing and then we'd be voting on it.
okay, I think in the. All I know is that my experience in public meetings is not that great. But I know in the elections and town meeting manual,
Yeah,
it talks about public hearings. You can have a developmental hearing.
okay,
Or you can have a hearing after the deal is set in stone.
right.
And the purpose of that hearing is for people to just basically lobby, to express
That's
their
right.
support.
So
To
I think it's, I
express
think,
their support or opposition.
I think that's an important word, the development.
So-
Yeah, that's
Understand
correct, yeah.
Yeah,
that they will not
developmental
be
public hearing.
seeing a final draft that will either get a yes or no vote.
Yes,
That's it. Okay, I just want to make sure that's understood. When we,
and in the final draft, there's no reason to have a hearing on that because it's gonna be a floor vote at the town
Correct.
meeting and people then can express their, you don't require a public hearing on ordinances that go on the floor vote.
okay, I just want to make sure that's clear. Okay, thank you. New business, consideration of fiscal year 25-26 funding requests.
That's just a list of some of the requests that we've received so far for fiscal year 25-26. There hasn't been any change from what I saw from last year's fiscal year budget. no increase.
These requests, came with letters?
Yes.
Okay.
So you're asking for an approval?
Yeah, yes, I'll just add those to the fiscal year 25-26, pending any revisions or changes.
Okay, do we need a vote or do we just move forward?
I mean, these are,
It's gonna go into
Do
the
we need a
budget
vote?
process.
Yeah, do we need it's just okay, take
Yeah,
it.
you can just give me a
Submit it to
consensus
the
if
budget
that-
process, yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah, take it to the budget process.
okay, thanks.
Yep.
Consideration of mowing. Consideration of mowing bids. Mowing advertising for bids, excuse me.
Yeah, and so I was looking for a motion on this, just for approval to go ahead and publish this for, to collect. bids.
Can we make a couple edits and
Yes,
have questions on it?
absolutely.
Have you made your own edits and changes so far, or are you,
Yes.
okay?
So are these dates, just trial dates, or are they, set in concrete, because they don't seem long enough?
So the April 1st through October 30th, were historical dates, basically updated for
Looking at the bid dates.
the bid dates. The advertisement for bids, March 14th and March 18th. I was gonna try to get it out as soon as possible.
So that would make it due next Monday, and we haven't even, it's now Tuesday night, we haven't even agreed it.
If you didn't agree it, then I would push it back and change it.
Is it reasonable to put it out tomorrow morning and expect bids back by Monday?
I would be sending it directly to the previous vendors that we've had in the past, as well as any others, and then posting it onto social media and sending it out over email.
If the bid came back on the 15th, we're gonna start mowing in about a month. Anyway, so we
Right.
do need to get those out and back in pretty
They
quickly.
typically start mowing in April, as long as we're not receiving any fluke snowstorms like we did last year, the first week of April. Otherwise, again, this is just based off of dates from previous years.
Mhm.
Ideally, yes, I would like to have had this out sooner. Usually, I'm also working on a request for paving
Mhm.
RFP. So ideally, those are typically done in November, December, January. I'm mostly trying to get dates to add into the budget for this upcoming year.
Mhm.
And
If you're sending it,
and also for the mowing for starting in April, ideally.
Could we give people 2 weeks and still not mess up your schedule?
Yeah.
I mean, I think if the idea is to get fair competition and maybe improve the bids, it seems like 2 weeks, even that is a little short, but given where we are this year, maybe we could go 2 weeks this year and shoot for more time next year. Or whenever it renews, it's more than a year. Okay, the next time it renews.
You could do a motion to approve pending any changes that you recommend moving forward on this, and then I would make those changes and put it out as soon as possible.
So I just don't know, I know with state procurement rules, there's a minimum time that it has to be advertised or posted.
Mhm.
I just don't know whether towns follow those same,
Oh.
same guidelines or not.
I'll try.
And then the other question I had was, in the payment schedule. Says we'll pay them in 7 equal installments.
Mhm.
It refers to an attached payment schedule, which I couldn't find. But is that 7 equal installments annually? Or 7 installments over the period of the 3-year contract?
I believe that is annually.
I would suggest to insert the word annually.
Or are you talking about monthly?
Yes. 7 installments within the season
Yeah.
from April to October.
I would put it in there, if you want to be real clear, I'd put it in there that we're gonna make 7 payments in with the second warrant of these months. April, May, June, July, whatever they are, however you're gonna make the payments, so you can
so
put
just
it in
get
there.
specific with the months.
Yeah, yeah. It's-
That'd be very clear.
And then on the renewal, because we can exercise an option to renew for 1 year, but it doesn't speak to what the pricing on that additional year is gonna be set at.
I think it depends on the bids that they've put forth. From what I've seen on other contracts, some of those contractors, they put forth their bid with an additional year.
Is it 3 base years and an option?
Yeah.
Okay, then on the bid schedule on page 7, you can take care of that just by adding option year. For them to, you have a place, don't you have a bid for year 1, 2, and 3?
Yes.
For all the properties?
Mhm.
Just add a separate column there for
Optional for.
optional 4th year.
Okay.
That was all I had.
Good call.
So you'd like me to extend the bids due another week? Is that
I'd
okay?
like to give them at least 2 weeks,
Okay,
however much that makes, whatever that means, it means. Let them have 2 weeks to bid it.
When Hazel asked about if there was any requirements,
Yeah.
law, or.
What I've read, and no, you need to check it out, but what I've read is the state requirement for competitive bidding period doesn't apply to municipalities, so.
Okay.
I'm assuming that the time frame doesn't apply, but it sure would be a good guide for us to use. In doing our business.
Right.
It would help us get things out there on time too.
Yeah.
In our planning for bringing this up.
Okay, so I will update those dates to extend another week. I will verify for anything through the state, add an optional 4th year column into page 7 and make sure that we indicate specifically it'll be paid out on the 2nd warrant of each month.
I got it.
Okay. Yes.
14th is Monday, and 14th is Friday.
Oh, thank you.
Monday will be the 17th.
Thank you. Yep,
So what is the due date of the bid?
so if I push that back out a week, it'd be the 21st.
Do we need to make any motion on this?
Yeah.
Yes, March
Yeah.
1st,
And-
Friday.
More time to bid than they do to have to get to the contract.
To get to the what?
It's an April 1st after the end of March.
It is.
So you give them more time to put a bid together than you do actually prepare to do the work.
Well.
If they're
Maybe.
awarded the bid, they only get what, 9, 10 days to do the work.
What do you reckon the mobilization time is to mow these properties?
Well, I'd rather have less time to bid and more time to mobile. But
Well-
that's just,
But there are people that are not sitting here and looking at it and knowing what's in it already that need to have a chance to look at it and put in their competitive prices.
yeah.
So the bid would be due, it would be due March, what, what'd you say?
21st. If
Okay.
I push it back a week.
And are we really mowing on April 1st? I don't believe the snow is gone on April 1st.
So why don't we-
I just called
Here,
out.
no, I get it.
Yeah, either way, but.
Because they still have some,
It takes less time to mow than it does to bid.
we
Okay,
just
but
may have
That's
somebody out there
says it-
doing plowing on April 1st, you know?
It says it will begin on or about April 15th. But they're
Okay,
trying to get the contract in place effective April 1st.
April 1st, okay, all right.
But, you know, I think there's a happy medium between giving bidders an opportunity to actually know the bidders out there and put their bids together.
About
So-
how much money is this? Anybody have an idea?
You might know, I looked at, I can't remember, it's like
That was from last year. I haven't seen it.
roadside, I think is,
Normally, I'm not asking you for your bid, I'm just saying like, what's it this year?
no, I think Henry, I think roadside was.
This is on the roadside.
Sorry,
It's not.
I'm not even
it's
gonna
not
say the
over
number right now.
$100,000,
No,
is it?
it's, I'm not gonna say it right now because I'll
Okay.
get it wrong. But
Okay.
I would like to take action on this and then keep this
Yeah.
agenda moving. So can we take, does somebody
Right,
want to
make a motion. I move that we approve the mowing advertisement as presented with the changes that have been suggested.
Yes,
Second,
Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, thank you. Great. consideration of mobile home recreational vehicle and campground ordinance amendments. So we received a document from the planning board last, in advance of the meeting, from their meeting, which I believe was what? Yeah, two, okay. Right. And if board members had an opportunity to
Yes.
review that, and where would we like to start off this discussion?
Well, the way the zoning ordinance and the mobile home park ordinance, which is what I'm gonna call it for short. I know there's a lot more words that need to get put in there. Both those ordinances have amendment provisions that basically, according to our lawyer, vest the amendment process pretty much solely and exclusively in the planning board. In that what they require is that the planning board sends proposed amendments to us to put on a warrant article, but our options is to take that actual ordinance and either put it on the warrant article as it is presented, or to suggest changes to it and send that back to the planning board for further action. The planning board memorandum didn't send us any ordinance to put on the warrant. It sent us a long memo that says, we approve this ordinance with the following conditions. And there were a number of conditions, and one of those conditions is that you take these changes and you put it into two ordinance amendments. One is amendments to the zoning ordinance, and the other is a standalone mobile home campground ordinance. That work hasn't been done. Now, I'm told that, and it hasn't been presented to us by the planning board. I'm told that the committee took the police power sections, the licensure ordinance portions of the modified amendments to the mobile home park ordinance, and have separated those into a document to present. I haven't seen that, but I'm told that there's one exists. The amendments to the zoning ordinance have not been produced. And both of those documents, when they are produced, need to be passed on by the planning board to the select board. And so where we are with what we got is, all we can do is say, okay, we accept these recommendations. And in accordance with condition 4 on page 7 of the memorandum, we engage the services of Perkin Thompson's to draft amended ordinances. And when those ordinances are done, they need to be referred back to the planning board. That's what happened.
Other board, I'm just to make sure are there other board member comments? So let me just to be clear before I take
Yeah.
public comment, actually, I'll come back to it. I can't be clear because I'm uncertain as to. I guess the bigger question that I have right now, and help me understand this, generally speaking, the the final work is done at the planning board stage, presented to us really just for a movement, a move towards the warrant as we see fit.
Yes, yes, sir.
So,
And Jim Kay told you in emails that once that comes to us, our options are very limited.
right,
It is that we either send
Right.
what they sent us forward, or we recommend changes and send it back to the planning
Just-
board.
can you guys,
Yes.
I have this in front of me right now, where the amendment procedure specifically,
There's a recommendation
Yeah,
on page 3.
that's what I'm,
Yes,
thank you.
there's a recommendation on page
Right in the
3.
middle.
That's what I'm,
That seems to be the only recommendation
Was,
in here.
it was sent, yes. They recommend that the proposed amendments be sent to the select board to send to town meeting vote with several conditions,
okay,
as stated below. Those conditions are on page 7. And condition number 4 says, finally, the planning board recommends, with agreement of the committee, that the town integrate the proposed amendments into zoning ordinance, leaving a zoning ordinance that contains performance standards for all land uses in the town, and a mobile home park ordinance that serves as an annual licensing requirement to protect the public health, safety, and welfare. That condition says, we approve this if these things are done, but they haven't been done. We have no licensure ordinance to put on a warrant. And we have no amended zoning ordinance to put on a warrant. Now, maybe I messed up and have it wrong. I'm open to be showed that.
Hey, Trent, this is
All right.
Ted Tucci. I'm raising my
I'm
hand.
gonna, hey Ted, I'm gonna take, I have a comment here first. Betsy has a comment. Okay. All right, Ted, you're on. Okay,
Thanks, Trent, and thanks everybody on the select board. I actually think what we have here is a technical issue and one that is to which there's a relatively clean and simple solution. The only thing that Henry said that I take slight disagreement with is, just so that everyone is clear, there is a proposed amended, revised campground ordinance. You have it. The committee produced it. It's been vetted by the planning board. It exists. The advisory committee produced that proposed revised amended ordinance. So Perkins Thompson does not need to draft a new campground, mobile home park, RV park ordinance. The advisory committee did that. What needs to be done is precisely what Henry articulated and suggested, which is that substantive proposed amended ordinance needs to be split into 2 parts. And so Perkins Thompson needs to take the substantive performance standards from the existing proposed amended ordinance and insert those performance standards into the existing comprehensive Wayne zoning ordinance in the appropriate places where those performance standards belong. The advisory committee, to assist both the planning board, the select board, and Perkins Thompson, as Henry indicated, actually already created a draft of the quote unquote police power ordinance, the annual licensure ordinance. So actually, we think we help save the town some money because Perkins Thompson can take that draft, finalize it, do whatever it needs to do with it. And that can be the part of the separate standalone annual renewal ordinance that's to be considered at the June 10th town meeting. And so the second component that needs to be done, which I think you're going to vote on tonight, is to just authorize Perkins Thompson to take the substantive portions of the advisory committee's recommended revised ordinance and figure out where those substantive performance standards should be placed into the Wayne zoning ordinance. And hopefully that can be done. I mean, I would ask the select board to obtain some indication from Perkins Thompson as to how long it will take to do that, so that it can be done in a timely fashion, return to the planning board for the next phase, and then ready to be put on the agenda for the June 10th town meeting. I hope that's clear. Betsy may have some clarifying comments to what I've said.
Yeah, thanks, Ted. Betsy.
And just so you understand, just as Ted said, that the planning board has voted on taking what the advisory committee came up with for the amendments. Staying with those amendments, not changing those amendments, but just embedding it into the Wayne zoning ordinance. So there's not any big change. There's no changes that should be made to that, except to take the parts that we were of what we came up with and put it into the zoning ordinance. And then there's a few pieces that come out that go into kind of this policing power. It doesn't really belong in the zoning ordinance. But all of that work has been done. All of that work has been, we've gone through public hearings, and here, 2 public hearings, we've gone through the process that was laid out. The planning board voted on that. There's not, there are not to be any other changes made to that unless they, rescind that vote.
So it's, no, that's understood. I guess I'm just. It's a different approach to how this process is generally done, so I'm trying to navigate that, because generally, I think whether it be a fence ordinance, whether it be in resource protection ordinance, often the case, all of this work is done prior to our, and then it's presented as a more final, complete document, which then goes up for the warrant. So it's okay that this is the process. It's just I'm trying to understand why it's at our table now and not. I guess unless they're authorizing, if they're looking for pay legal, a funding thing.
Now,
Yes.
now,
That's
in response to Betsy's comment,
Okay.
we don't currently, the planning board hasn't sent us either of these 2 documents.
Either of which 2 documents.
The police power licensure ordinance. They haven't sent that to us. They haven't said, here's the police power licensure ordinance. They sent us your committee's product, which it combines both. Okay,
Right.
so we don't have to say, voters, please vote on this ordinance. Second thing is, the product of this, they simply take this thing and stick it here and take that thing and stick it there. Yes, the product of that effort is an amended zoning ordinance.
Correct.
That amended zoning ordinance needs to go to the planning board. It needs to have a public hearing on the amended zoning ordinance that's publicized per the statute in the paper. And so there isn't, it isn't done.
So
Could have been done, but it isn't done.
So because this is the process that's unfolding before us right now,
Yes.
we could authorize this process to happen, but then it goes back to them and they have to go through the public hearing again, vote
Yes.
again, and then send back the final document.
Yes, sir,
Is
they're
that-
gonna-
Is that correct? I mean, that's how I'm understanding this right now.
I believe that's the case.
Right, that was my understanding,
Okay.
was that the work is all done in one document.
Okay,
Jim just needs to, you need to approve paying for him to take that one document and create the 2 pieces.
Parse it and put the pieces where they need to be in the appropriate, and then also end up with a standalone ordinance.
Part of the whole reason is that campground ordinance, when you go back into the history of it, that campground ordinance was originally created before the Wayne zoning ordinances were created. And it really should not be a standalone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It really it really needs to be embedded when all of the research that we did, when you look at all the other, all the other towns that we looked at in the state, their campground ordinance is embedded into the Wayne zoning into their zoning land use ordinances. It should not be a standalone.
So really, it
And
really,
that's creating a lot of problems.
Right.
Because it is a standalone. So I.
so
my
the board
understanding-
action, our responsibility and role is really more about allocation of funds.
I have a motion.
Yes.
I was gonna say, the
This is
motion
just-
covers what we need to do.
Yeah,
does it not?
we have a motion that we can make.
I
Would you
suggest
like
we
to hear
make it.
Okay,
There's,
I can't read it, I don't have
and
glasses.
then we can discuss it some more. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take one more comment from Betsy.
In my understanding is what we've been told is that Jim is ready to move forward with this quickly. He understands the time constraints of, getting it done, needing to go to the planning board, having a public hearing, and then, be ready for the June vote. That's what the ultimate goal is.
It's interesting to me, let's get the motion on the table.
Move that the select board accept the recommendations set forth in the February 20th, 2025 memorandum from the planning board to the select board. We accept their recommendation. That the town engage the services of Perkin Thompson's to draft amended ordinances that divide the provisions of the proposed amendment to the mobile home park, recreational vehicle park and campground ordinance referred to in the memorandum between an amended mobile home park, recreational vehicle park and campground ordinance and an amended zoning ordinance as stated in condition 4 on page 7 of the memorandum. And that upon Perkin Thompson's completion of the drafting task described above, the proposed amendments to the ordinance that I just listed and the zoning ordinance be referred to the planning board for necessary action to adopt such amendments as required by the amendment articles of each such ordinance.
Second,
We have a second,
we have a second.
discussion. I just want to lead off quickly in this discussion. It's, the process here is different because I'm assuming that the planning board has sought counsel through this entire process and never has, I don't actually know what the town structure is for seeking counsel and paying for a lawyer, to talk frankly. So they've been paying for a lawyer the whole time, and now they're asking us that they need authorization for it. So that doesn't make any sense to me, but that's besides it.
I suspect the planning board could have hired the lawyer, but also I recall 6 weeks ago, I suggested that we turn on Jim Kay to do this. And the response from the audience was swift and robust. And so that never happened. And then, we could have turned them on. They should have turned them on. It's a mess, but now we just have to fix it.
We're
Let's
here.
Fix it up.
Yeah, we're here now. Any other discussion on the motion?
Do we know how much effort it's gonna take him to do this?
$14,000,
No,
right?
no,
It's 8?
he said 15 to 20 hours, which is gonna be in the $4,000 range, 4 to 6. After we act on this motion, there's something else that I wanna discuss that we sort of need to do to help Jim do his work. But let's act on the motion first.
So acting on the motion, is there any, are we locked in? Usually if we're gonna be authorizing funds, it's nice to know what funds we're authorizing and how much.
Well, I don't know,
I'm just bringing that up. Is there any contingency on this if all of a sudden it comes back at a number that far exceeds our budget?
well, we can tell them in the engagement letter that we understand it's gonna be 15 to 20 hours, and if it's more than that, let us know. We could do that in the letter that we send them. I do think that it's not a precise thing. It kind of depends upon what we send them.
Right.
Do we have any budget left, Shannon?
Let me get back to you on that.
Yes, Ken. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I didn't know who was up first.
If you know
I
the number of
apologize.
hours, you then know the number of prices. Is there a set fee that the town pays per hour?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's like $200 and some change, maybe $225 for, as what he charges. But I don't know that for certain. But he does send us bills that has an hourly rate of what he charges. Yeah, I can't tell you what it is exactly. More than 2 and less than 3.
Betsy.
Well, I'm just gonna express that this process, which has been very slow. We've been told to go this route. And then we have to go this way, and then we have to go that way, and now we're going, and I feel like we have done all this work. We have dotted all the i's, crossed all the t's, we have followed all the directions that were given to us. And then the directions get changed, and it has been so frustrating. I just need to say that. And I don't know, if you ask Jim, what is the harm in, taking that ordinance and having the town vote on the work that's been done, leaving it as a standalone?
Hmm.
Is that an option? My only fear about that is that that doesn't give it the strength and the credibility that it needs to have.
Okay.
That makes
Can I,
sense.
can I
Yeah.
make a comment raising?
Can we get the,
Yep,
can we
so
get the budget
we're
availability?
Just looking at budget for this year's legal, this is not specific to the planning board. We had 35,000 budgeted. We've spent 28,561, and so it leaves a remainder of $6,438. That's not including any other outstanding balances that we might have right now that I just haven't received an invoice for.
And that's in your expense section 100, general admin, correct?
It would be under 100 general admin, section 3 for contractual.
Yes, and in that budget item, we have within that square. We have some fluff.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
We do. I'd have to look and see specifically where we pull that fluff from, but yes.
Okay. Ted?
Thank you, Trent. If I could just make a couple of comments. First, one of, I think, the fortunate byproducts of the work of the advisory committee is that we're helping the town to fix a problem that it didn't know it had. Your lawyer will tell you that it is bad zoning practice to have a standalone, what is called performance standard zoning regulation outside of your master land use ordinance zoning ordinance. So this is actually fixing a problem that should have been fixed a long time ago anyway. The second thing is the Perkins Thompson firm has been involved in this for months and months. They're well aware and versed in the issue. It was actually the Perkins Thompson recommendation that the performance standards be incorporated in the master zoning ordinance. So presumably they're not starting from ground zero. Presumably there should be some real efficiency here to allow them to basically take all the work the advisory committee did and just figure out where it goes on which page and in which section in the comprehensive zoning ordinance. So hopefully the 15-hour estimate is a reasonable one. And I would suggest, as Henry mentioned, you just confirm that in the engagement letter with Perkins Thompson.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Ted.
Just have we seconded your motion yet?
I didn't second the motion.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Okay, now, I'm sorry, but going along with this, the last time I spoke with Jim, he needed Word documents. And my response to him was, I think we could do that without a problem. Our zoning ordinance is a very bad PDF. And when I went to convert it, it needs substantial work to come out with a clean Word document that he can use. And by work, I just mean, I'm not talking about redrafting, I'm talking about making this MS Word document say the same thing as the PDF file. And that glitch is particularly manifests itself mostly in all the tables that are in there.
How
So,
many pages is it, gonna need to be redone?
well, the zoning ordinance, what is it? Probably 70, 90 pages. It's not a small ordinance, but what, I have started a conversion basically today and saw what this problem is. We can work on it, but someone is going to have to help with like proofing this Word document against this PDF document to make sure they say the same thing. And we're gonna have to do that like in the next couple days to
I-
get it to Jim.
I've got somebody who's good at taking documents from PDF and getting it into TypeScript. Pretty high degree of accuracy, and then with a degree of, she could probably send you chapters, and you could proof them as they come out. That can be done, she's around. About 20, 25, 30 bucks an hour.
Well, I don't know that she'd do any better than what we have. I mean, you can ask her what she uses. If she says she uses a full Adobe, then she's gonna get the same thing that I got.
Given can this discussion be had
It could be had.
with you on how we get these?
I can have this
documents?
discussion with Shannon and she can get whatever help she needs.
All right.
To help me.
Let's do that.
All right,
Review and discussion of general codes ordinance. And we've got parks and public lands and road construction except. Road construction first. Yeah. Road construction acceptance.
Yeah, that's for what we.
Is
how
that
do people get
driveway
roads turned over
permits?
to the town?
Oh.
That's basically
yeah.
what you have to do to get a private road turned over to
Yeah.
the town or a road that you did in the
Yeah.
subdivision.
I understand. Yeah, sure. Okay. Oh,
This seemed pretty
and
not controversial, these changes.
No, I agree. I did have one question. Oh, no, that was the parks. Are we talking about the roads, not the
I
parks?
think
right?
we're talking about the
were
roads right
first.
now.
The
Yeah.
roads were first.
So does it look okay to y'all?
So their only recommendation is the surveyor?
I'd have to.
I think that was,
I
there
think
was,
there's a couple more things.
What's there?
I have a couple things in there that were not recommended by general code. I think they're in boxes that are in.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all highlighted type file.
I see.
I agreed with your suggestions. I had one question.
Yeah. All right.
okay.
Yeah. I don't even have it.
Yeah, agree.
Yes, ma'am.
It's probably not that important, but on, page 7, under A,
Yes, ma'am.
in terms of variances, is it important to note where those variances will be documented and how? Or is it enough to say that a variance will be given? Do you have to?
I think what this is saying is if I want to, if I have a road that I want the town to accept, I submit an application to Chip.
Right,
Actually, it's to the road commissioner. I think I should be submitting it to Shannon.
right.
And then, it goes from her to the planning board. And they can vary the strict application of these rules if these conditions are met.
So it doesn't have to say, a form will be provided.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
It doesn't have to say something like, and a form will be provided, indicating that there's a variance. It just
It's just saying
It doesn't have to say.
the standard for granting a variance.
okay. That's a minor point, I'm sure. Other than that, I agree with the two suggestions you put in there.
There's a lot more that needs to change.
For road construction and acceptance.
Yes. The, page 3,
Okay.
paragraph 34, 3E. Road shall be paved with 1 inch of bituminous penetration according to the latest state department of transportation. That's not mine.
Where are
It
we?
should be 3.
Page 34.
The culvert on page 4. Says culvert shall be placed in size to meet drainage condition. Culvert shall not be less than 15. Our practice is 18 for cross culverts and 15 for driveway culverts,
Okay.
and they should be plastic. New aluminum or galvanized corrugated or spiral metal, they call it. Above that, in section 2, ditches 12% or greater shall be rip wrapped with stone, cement slabs or pit screening. That's not accurate. It shouldn't be cement slabs or pit screenings. It needs to be angular rip wrap.
It says here, are you talking about 34 thing? The construction specifications.
So. I didn't
Yeah.
follow.
Well, that's what was in the old ordinance.
Okay.
That's what was in our existing ordinance. Here's what I'd say.
It's not.
Tell me. Well.
If you're changing the ordinance, you might as well make.
No, I think you're right. And this. This ordinance, as far as these construction standards, man, that is the latest and greatest, stuff, from June 30th, 1982. Well, I don't doubt that some of it needs to be changed. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't remember 19.
If,
Can you just give it that on paper?
well, the changes that Mark is recommending, do we need to pass on those?
I was gonna suggest, can we separate the things that we need for general code and that you're recommending from the things that need subject matter
Well-
expertise, which maybe should go to the road committee?
I agree.
Or how about this?
Like,
Oh.
I have no idea why one
Okay,
inch versus
how
3
about
inches.
this as an approach? Let's take that whole thing out. And put in there that roads must meet the current specifications. On file at the town office, and put that up to the road commissioner to determine what those current specifications are. And the road commissioner and people who know roads can get together and write those. I don't think whether it's a 15-inch culvert or an 18-inch culvert necessarily needs to be passed on by the legislative body. That's more of a technical issue that I think can be delegated to the road commission.
There's another point about that.
Yes.
And that is that as specifications change,
Yeah.
you don't have to rechange
You don't have to go to
the
town
ordinance.
meeting.
You just change the document
So-
that's referred to.
So for general code purposes, would it be okay if I just took these specifications out of the ordinance and we put them in another document that the road commissioner approves and is amended from time to time as necessary?
So you're basically talking about taking out section 34-3.
Yeah.
well, we need to take that out of CEO's workload now. Because it's not getting done.
Well, it's something that,
Well,
you know. Yeah. Right now, we're just looking at how to write the ordinance, so it makes sense. And if the rules are followed, if the rules are followed or not followed, that's another question that needs to be addressed later.
But before you were here, we adopted road that we should have never adopted.
Yeah, well, okay.
so. It looks like this. It's 8:15. it's getting late.
Okay.
We still have quite a bit to go through in this agenda. It looks like this needs to be readdressed or relooked at. We've got some comments. We need some input on specs. You have a proposal about having a document, but that document still needs the specifications.
Yeah, yes, but it
So-
doesn't need to be given to Chip for general code.
Understood.
That's what I'm, that's
So
why,
you're
that's what I'm
it's a
saying.
way
I'm-
for us,
Yeah, you're right. We're kicking the can down the road, but we're doing it in a way that we can get what's on
Right.
our plate off of it,
Right.
as far as Chip responding to general code.
All right, so what do board members want to do on this?
That makes sense. We just remove 34-3 from this document entirely.
Right,
And then,
but
and then-
assure that there's a document that,
Well, I think
that's the
remove it.
reference document.
Refer to,
Refer to it. We're gonna have,
Right.
we'll have construction standards, but they won't be enacted by the legislative body in the ordinance.
But then the road commissioners is gonna have to
Okay.
put
could we
that on.
get your,
the road
your
commissioners.
comments in writing on these things?
Well, we can do that, yeah, we can do that later. He's right, it's getting late.
So,
Yeah.
let's, do we want to take action on this independently? Do we need to at this point? Or do we want to?
I don't know that we need a, a motion on this. We didn't have one on the first two. I just need y'all to tell me that it's okay to tell Chip, to tell general code to make these changes. And if we want to pass these ordinances, we've got a parks ordinance, a road ordinance, and the culvert ordinance that I'm assuming we're gonna want to put on the town meeting this
Right.
year. And I think we can, we'll still have to do that.
so I think our recommendation should be yes. Say yes to the general code changes, agree we're gonna take out the construction specifications.
Okay.
And put those to the
Okay,
CEO or the road
Yeah.
commissioner or the road committee to review, document and
Okay.
keep separate.
And build a document with specifics, the current.
Yeah,
specifics.
and then that lets us move forward on the.
Yep.
The
Right.
code piece, whether or not.
Yep.
And if we haven't had a motion before, then on the other.
We have-
code,
okay, if
then
we haven't had a
just
motion.
record the decision.
Okay.
Move on.
All right, move on.
A quick question,
Yep.
what's the culvert ordinance? I don't have that in the guide.
I don't
We
think
did that
It
one.
has, to- it
we
has,
were
to-
talking about that in another meeting.
It's
I don't think we have.
I think that it does not fall under the like driveway and entrance.
it does, it really, well, it had to do with, culverts where somebody's doing a curb cut into a town street. Somebody's putting a driveway or other entry onto a town street when we have to have a culvert. And I think the specifications on that were separate, if I recall.
Yeah.
Would they be online that Mark could look at? If he was wanting
I'll
to?
send it to you. If you give me a,
That's mine.
oh, when we're done.
All right.
when-
I want
when we're
to-
done here, give me an email and I'll send it to you.
I'm gonna stay on agenda. I want to get this moving along. So we've got parks and public lands. Is that, what kind of actually, before we even open that up, I may table that, depending on, what do you think in terms of?
Chip needs to send the stuff to general code by the 1st of April.
1st of April? All right, that's.
I have basically one comment
All
on
right,
it.
let's
and
get it
that's
done.
My comment is only that, and I don't know the standards of notation. But my only request was, when you were discussing the different locations, the War Memorial Park has a map number and a lot number. However, the properties are all just called out by name. Should they not also be map and lot number too?
I just took what we had in our existing ordinance, which is what general code,
Yeah.
gave us. And if we want to change those, we can change them. I don't know what the answer to that is.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
sure that we can find that out, don't
yeah.
they? Because in 10 years, this may be very difficult to follow.
Well, okay.
As long as you don't have a lot of numbers.
Map and lot seems more effective because
Then
some of these
property
people have already
names.
passed.
Oh, really?
We got, yeah. And there are map and, yes, okay.
They're map
So
and
they're all
lot
map
numbers
numbers,
except for
okay.
the property names.
All right.
Yeah, that was my only
Yeah.
request or suggestion.
And, Lloyd, I think it was Lloyd, sent me a comment. One of the comments was on erection of structure 6B. He asked about tents, shelters at the farmer's market, unsure properties. I suggest a parenthetical comment that just says, this does not prohibit portable shade or rain canopies that are removed at the end of the day.
Great.
Okay.
And then my two comments were in 28.4, the remedies. Halfway through. Violation of a directive of the town manager given as provided, and then you say, in the preceding two sentences, can we just say in this ordinance?
Sure.
Just
Yes.
makes it easier to read. There's a typo in the same section. Town for all costs needs to be pluralized. Second line from the bottom of that section. 28-4.
Yeah, but the ordinance I pulled off was based on our old numbers. Just.
Oh, I'm looking at
Based one, I know.
the revised one in blue.
Yeah.
It's just a minor typo.
That's it.
And in 28-9 F,
Okay, here we are.
except as approved. Past tense.
Maybe approved.
Anyway, I can give you these and you can hand them back to me at the end.
Okay, now, oh, so we got 28-9.
First
Top of-
line, it's just
Top
a-
of,
Okay. Prohibited activities. Which one is it?
Yeah,
F.
first line says.
Yeah,
maybe
Except as
approved.
may be approved, okay.
Yeah.
and costs in 28-4 remedies.
So they,
pluralized. Same section with the two sentences.
help me out here quickly on prohibitive activities. I'm just looking at the blue is brand new, or is the blue text in this? Is that, what is that? Is that revised? Is that new? Is that? Well, this, for example,
Right.
what is that? Why is that highlighted? Well, because I recall, there was
Oh.
He's wants to know what is there.
I just have my final.
No, this is the
Okay,
main
look, the
copy.
blue is new.
Blue is new, blue is new,
Blue is
Brand
new.
brand new.
Actually, you know what I think the blue is? The blue is a word processing glitch, when I copied the thing over with cutting and pasting from the general code stuff. Some of the general code stuff is in blue.
Okay, so
So the blue just needs to, because there's the stuff that's not in blue that also is different. Our parks ordinance I couldn't do a red line from the parks ordinance.
Mhm, yeah.
Basically, that it's thrown out and this is in its place. And the reason being, it didn't say, it said non-residents couldn't use our parks. It
Oh,
didn't
right.
say anything about picking up after your dogs, putting your trash in trash cans. The prohibited activities there were some in there, but not many.
so blue is new?
No, they're pretty much.
The only reason I'm
the old-
asking is I don't recall, maybe my memories, I don't recall making any changes. There's a sentence in there, nothing in the subparagraph or ordinance shall be deemed to exclude sales at Wayne Summertime Weekly Farmers Market by any vendor approved to participate therein. I don't recall ever having a vote on that language in the last
There
10
wasn't in the
years.
old ordinance. The old ordinance had no prohibition
That's-
on sales at all. The old ordinance, there was no prohibition on sales. Except if
Yeah.
what, you could sell anything, anytime, as long as you were a Wayne resident selling to a Wayne resident or their guest.
Yes.
Okay,
I can't do a red line at this park. So you
That's
have to
right.
find someone else to do it.
that's all right.
Because we have 1979 ordinances, and you
Right.
say, I demand a red line of this ordinance, that means you're restricting yourself to the format that somebody wrote 20 years ago, that
The firearms part is new too,
the
because
firearms part is new.
of.
And where this came from, most of this I took from Monmouth Park ordinance, almost all of it.
And then
I didn't just it's not just made up, it's borrowed from various ordinances.
the
yes.
town manager is gonna be responsible for drinking, smoking, fires.
Somebody has to be responsible to enforce the ordinance. Now, how are they gonna enforce the ordinance? We don't have a police department. This ordinance is gonna be extremely, it's gonna be extremely hard to enforce, except to say, here are the rules, and hopefully people will comply with them. If you have somebody who habitually breaks them, I guess you can give them a notice, and when they show up in the park after they've been banned, you call the sheriff. When Hell's Angel shows up at one of the parks to have a rally, I don't know who's gonna do anything about it, not me. So, that's, somebody has to be in charge of the parks. Our old ordinance did not have that. Seems to me that
I
should be
think
the
I
town
think the
manager's job.
authority for approval of vending should come before the select board and
Okay,
not be the sole responsibility of the town manager.
that's okay.
That's a good point.
And the example would be. Well, there's multiple examples. That's what I think that should come before the board.
Where would we put that in here?
Well, it's in the merchandising.
Merchandising, advertising, and signs.
It authorizes the town manager for approval. And I just think that should go before the elected body.
That's fine. Well, okay, okay.
Change
Us.
that to select board.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Town manager is authorized to issue rules and procedures, or is that also select board?
So every,
So if there's an application to sell Christmas trees in the town park, I think that the select board should be made aware of that
Yeah,
for approval,
okay,
which we've done before, right?
right?
Mhm.
So do you want to say, except as may be approved and authorized in writing by the town manager, subject to select board approval?
Yes,
That's fine.
but there's the last sentence there, is that
Hold on, oh, I haven't gotten to it yet.
problem?
The town manager is authorized to issue rules and procedures for persons from time to time to apply for and be granted an authorization to sell. Do you want to not have that? Do you want the select board to write those rules and procedures?
town manager is authorized to issue rules and procedures. I mean, I just think, for like this, this addresses the farmer's market, it doesn't address the strawberry festival.
The
It doesn't
strawberry
address-
The Strawberry Festival, I suggest, should come under a totally separate ordinance that speaks to special events. The Strawberry Festival incorporates parks, but it's a lot more. It's not this parks ordinance. You've got streets closed off for the Strawberry Festival. The Strawberry Festival is not merchandising in the parks. It's much more. I would
It is
suggest-
much more, but it's also, you're right,
Yeah.
it is on.
And if the Strawberry Festival occurred outside of park, but they still did the same thing. If the Strawberry Festival moved down Lake Street from Memorial Park to the lake by the yacht club,
I would almost.
I'd say you still need to
I
have
don't,
some rules regulating it.
there's something about this merchandising and advertising that's too specific to the current moment. And I think it needs to be more broad to select board approval for a farmer's market, select board approval for a festival, for an event. Cause I think this, in 10 years from now, if the Strawberry Festival vanishes and the Wayne Farmers Market changes, we have this ancient language that's so specific.
Well, the only language that's specific is it said this merchandising prohibition doesn't apply to the farmer's market. Is really what I meant on that last sentence.
Yeah. But
we could do something.
I don't know,
we could do
there's
something
something
different.
about that seems unclear to me as we think about setting an ordinance for the future.
Uh-huh.
That's all. And I'd
Should
like,
that just say nothing?
I'm open to change it however you do you think it should be?
Well-
Are you getting caught up primarily, or
Yeah.
is the fact that the town manager is the body, so to speak, that's named in this, part of the issue with it?
I just think that nothing in the subparagraph ordinance shall be deemed to exclude sales at the Wayne Summertime Weekly Farmers Market. I mean, that's just a very specific of the moment
Could we just
reference.
say
that-
special events
Yeah,
authorized by
that's
the
what
select
I'm
board?
trying to find broader language that could encompass a changing
Hmm.
future.
Special events.
Yeah, special
authorized
events
by-
or, I think
Okay.
the intent of it, I understand. I'm
no,
just
I
trying, I'm
understand.
trying to.
If we could get the name farmer's market out and have a broad reference to an event that has been authorized
Well, we
by.
say, it already says, subject to, except as may be approved and authorized in writing by the town manager, subject to the select board approval. We don't
Right.
need to say anything about that. It's just,
That's what,
it's just, we need to tell the farmer's market committee that they need to get the
Right.
town manager's approval, and
I-
then it
right.
has to come to us, and we have to do a motion on it.
because I think if we were to enshrine that into an ordinance,
That's,
depending on, we don't know what the
It's
outcome of the
okay.
farmer's market
It's
might be.
okay.
Who knows? Maybe it turns into a mud run, I don't know.
that's fine. That's okay. So,
Maybe.
so just delete that last sentence. Is that
The last-
So we-
what you're suggesting? Can we just delete the last
I
sentence?
think so. I
Okay.
think it's too specific.
fine.
Person,
Well, that's a good idea.
like broad, that's all.
Okay.
So, yeah, maybe, is it then redundant, a little redundant to just say the last sentence and we can, I think that's what you just said, Henry.
Yeah, I just said,
could
it
be
says
considered-
except as may be approved and authorized by the town manager, subject to the select board approval. That means the farmer's market committee needs to send something to get approved, and we need to
Right,
pass on it.
So they're in compliance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good.
No, that's okay.
Firearm section. And the intoxicating possession section. Those are both new.
Well,
Just gonna kind of slide them in there.
no, the intoxicating, it always said that. I disagree with it, but I think our old one said alcohol.
There's a
and
rules
drugs
and
were
regs
prohibited
that's
in
up in
parks.
the town.
It didn't
park.
have anything about firearms in the old ordinance. I looked at what other towns had, and stole from them. And one of them is, this represents, this mainly came from Monmouth. But if we think people ought to be allowed to pack into town parks, we can take 28-9A out.
Just seems kind of strict. There's already gun rules and regulations. Where you can't carry firearms. Town parks have never been one of them. Post offices, better buildings.
We want to take firearms restriction out?
No,
Seems pretty reasonable to me. I
Well,
don't know
it's-
that we're gonna have.
they can leave them in their car, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah,
bows and arrows, slings. and
I'd much rather
weapons.
take out the intoxication one.
I don't mind the intoxication part, but the possession of intoxicating beverages.
Yeah.
Says you can't even carry beer from Julie's store across the footbridge.
That is,
That sentence.
Yeah, and I
well,
think,
no, the footbridge is excluded from the whole thing. You can go across the footbridge. That doesn't count as part of the park. I mean, really, there's something in here about the footbridge.
There
But-
is something in there.
But if you stop and sit on a bench,
Just don't ride it.
you might be in violation.
Four-wheel
And if
drive.
you think-
But
If you think that here's the things that I think judgments people make when they're writing something like this. If you think that the benefit of not having drunken parties in
I
your
think-
park is outweighed by the detriment of somebody's gonna bust you when you're carrying a beer across the footbridge,
I think,
I'd go with the rule as it is.
I would like to, do we do not have the current ordinance in front of us, correct? Is that correct?
I think it might.
I can't
No,
find
it's
it.
not in here.
Okay,
How about
so what
this?
I wanna
And
do,
package the stuff
here.
that, Henry, that,
I think we've done the bulk of the conversation on this. I would like to have an opportunity to look at the old ordinance
That's
as it
fine.
compares to this, and then let's make a decision on this at our next meeting.
That's fine.
It's all done for the code.
I want to move on.
No,
So
They're
there-
not-
they'll get it.
Yeah, we gotta move on. This is
Okay.
going round and round.
Just go.
Oh, I move the table, the discussion of the parks
Because we're still hit
ordinance
chip step.
until next month or next meeting.
Right, see what was, yeah.
Second,
All in favor?
Right.
Okay, town manager report.
All right, so. As you saw today, those roads were posted. That will go till May 5th. The assessor will be in the office tomorrow from 7 AM to 7 PM. Per request before, there's now a search bar up on the website. The church calendar has also been added to the website. At the last meeting, I believe Mr. Clark had asked about the payroll management services and how long that offer was offered by Bangor Payroll, and I got back a response. There is no expiration on this pricing. They'll honor it if we decide to continue, so at any time moving forward. The Aging at Home has received a naloxone kit that they'd like to put up into the post office, and they did get approval, and they were wondering if it would be okay to post through the town channels to let everyone know that there is one available.
There's a what?
Naloxone kit,
Oh,
I don't even know what that is.
I'm not familiar, but.
Oh, for like a
That's the
overdose?
overdose thing.
overdosing, yeah.
Overdose kit.
Understood.
So that's in the post office. Is that something that you'd like to have sent out for people's awareness?
I'm unclear on all this. Isn't it on private property?
It's on the post office.
Which is private property, so I'm not sure why we have any obligation to,
Post
I
about it.
think
Post
it's a-
about it.
I think it's a kind of a social courtesy.
but it's private property. Like, we just have a
Federal property.
jurisdiction on that, so I'm not sure why we would be involved in that. If the post office leases, from what I understand,
think what
to be
they're-
true.
I think that they're asking if we'd be willing to let the community know that this is available in case there is an emergency within our community.
It's not provided, I have no opinion on that right now. I just don't understand why we'd be dabbling in private business,
Okay.
but I don't understand, well. Did you hear that?
So.
So I apologize, I'm gonna recuse myself from that discussion right now.
There is a paving RFP, I'm working on that. And there was a resident that had asked about the parking ordinance, down across from the boat ramp. And, just if there was any possibility of relooking it to have some of the parking signs removed, is that something that the select board would be interested in?
I'd be interested in understanding what they're talking about better.
So the boat ramp,
Right.
there's some posted signs for no parking across the street.
Is it,
Or along the same side of the street. And so to allow more parking, when there's boating down at there's not a lot of parking spaces down there. Is that something that you'd be
is
interested?
that our deal or is that the state? She's talking about no parking along
Be
133.
133.
She's talking about no parking along 133 by the boat ramp. I don't know if that's us or if that's the state that does it. I don't know the
But
answer.
there already is no parking on that.
yeah, they want
That's
to
what
remove
they're-
the signs.
They want
Yeah,
to.
they want to put
But they-
parking there, but I
wants
don't,
to
I
remove
don't think we put the signs up. I would assume we didn't. I don't know.
Okay,
A resident asked her if
Uh-oh.
there could be more parking along 133 near the
I
boat
think
ramp.
they'd be in the travel lane.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's enough width there,
I don't, yeah.
so I wouldn't be supportive.
I think it's probably the state that did that.
okay.
I think so too.
I'll verify. So about a week or two ago, over here at the Lad Rec Center, there's a water source here. There was a resident coming and filling up 275 gallon tanks from that water source, and there's been a request asking if there'd like to be a policy, or if there is a policy. I don't have a policy from the Lad Rec Center. To have something in place as far as limiting the water to be withdrawn from the Lad Rec Center, or is that okay?
It's put there as a public accommodation to get water.
Mhm.
I follow, I work for the pump.
I was gonna say, it's a lot of electricity and,
Who's gonna police that?
uh,
I'd work with the Lad Rec Center down here, if that's something that you'd like to see put in place as a policy.
It seems like that makes sense, really. But
We don't know what this water is used for.
I,
But
This
it's a lot of
gets
water.
into the relationship between the Lad Rec Center and the town, and the town having a policy
Well-
on.
It was presented to me by Lad Rec Center.
yeah, well,
Oh,
it's a town building, and if the water source is probably the town's business, I think. But, you know, I don't know how you're gonna police it. I don't know, I mean, I'd say if it's a problem, shut the water off. But if you want the water available for the public to use, I don't know how you're gonna meter the amount that they take.
Okay.
Well, that's just me, but I don't know what everybody else thinks.
I have to think about that.
Can we push that one forward?
Yeah.
Feels like we're trying to
Yeah,
get through a lot of decisions and.
Okay, and as of next Tuesday, I've got the budget committee meeting scheduled and I will get that posted to the agenda. And
That'll be
agenda
here.
posted for
That'll
that,
be here.
yes,
6 o'clock.
yep.
So what happened to the conversation about the payroll company? Because we deferred that last time because we only had 3 people at the meeting. 2 present, 1 virtual, and we kicked it forwards.
So it's been sitting here with a no expiration date. As of right now, we processed payroll this past week. Still going forth with that and filing the state and federal filing reports. But we
Still
have-
working smoothly?
Yeah, we're working through it.
So for the people who weren't here, were you tracking what that request was? You took-
Yeah, I understood that you would recommend that we not go with the outside payroll thing. Is that still a recommendation or?
Yes, given the fact that we do have a treasurer here right now, and as far as utilizing that treasurer, that has been their primary focus.
Yeah.
Is processing payroll.
I would say if it's working, if we can kick that can down the road.
We talking about payroll company?
Yeah,
I support her recommendation.
Yeah. Don't do it.
Now, if that's our position, I think we should have a motion to rescind that prior motion. Because we have a motion directing her to hire Bangor Payroll Company.
Right.
That has previously been approved, and I'm not a Robert's Rules guys, but I did Google it, and they say the way you take care of that is you make a motion to rescind the prior motion.
Let's do that.
I'll make a motion that we rescind our prior motion that directed the town manager to engage Bangor Payroll Company to provide payroll services to the town.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
yeah, so I just want to point out, we made that as a risk strategy. So currently they're doing okay. We have an interim treasurer, we have an interim town manager. It takes 3 weeks to set up, I think, with that company.
Correct.
So we'll have to be cognizant if the situation changes and we feel we're not able to do payroll, we'll have to act quickly.
I think we can revisit it any time that it appears to be a problem.
I agree. We should keep our eye on it and act quickly if we need to.
All in favor? Okay,
And that's all I had for.
great. Thank you. Board member reports.
We need to figure out what we're doing about the Lad Center sometime, probably before we get too far into the budget process, and
Okay.
so far, not much is happening.
So the subcommittee hasn't met recently. There's been an exchange of emails and
An exchange of emails.
I think we we haven't aligned on what our approach is gonna be, so that we can make a recommendation to the board.
Yes, it appeared that we were not going to come to a consensus, but that's just what I think based upon the way things were going. And my suggestion, I drew up a set of facts that I think represented the current state. And I sent that to the lad folks through Ken, and I sent it to Eric. I sent it to Eric. I actually gave Ken a copy first, and I gave it to Eric. And said, if you think this is inaccurate, incomplete, et cetera, let me know. About 3 weeks later, I got Eric's response, which was maybe day before yesterday. And I think we need a little bit of work, but maybe not. I wanted just a statement of facts with no spin and no advocacy either way. And then my suggestion was, lad guys, put the best polish on your proposal. Us put the best polish on what we think. And then talk to the board about it and maybe send questions to our lawyers about it, get their input, and then we make our decision.
Henry, is that set of facts
Yes.
that's not advocating, is that available?
Yeah, I can send you mine, and I can send everybody mine, and I can send everybody Eric's markup.
So I
would
think
like
we
to
should-
understand it better.
Yeah, I think we as a subcommittee though need to get those documents and bring them back to the full board,
Okay,
not
that's
be
fine.
doing it through email.
That's fine.
I would
I
just
just
like
think
to
we-
understand that whole situation a lot better.
Well, yes, and I think the lawyers said you basically have two options. You have a town department, in which case the lad board cedes their responsibility for this to the town and becomes an advisory board. That's our lawyers saying this, what I understand them to say. That has certain, in my view, downsides. One downside is I don't know that we can have employees that aren't budgeted for. That's something for us to ask our lawyers. And which is what we have right now. We have employees that are not budgeted for. They're paid with the contributions that the Lad Center receives and sends to the town. Okay. Another issue is, what do we have to do to establish this department? Is that something that needs to go to the town, or does the select board do it? I don't know. Somebody needs to give advice on that. I don't know the answer. You all have more experience, at least most of you do, than I. You might know that. The third problem I have with that is I don't know anything and don't have any interest in learning anything about how to run the youth programs that the Lad Center runs and do it half as competently as the Lad Center does.
Henry.
The board. I think that's something that they have the expertise and they should do. The second option is, go ahead,
I
cut it off. It's late.
if this is an important topic, I think it should be an agenda item.
Okay.
So we can have a full discussion.
Okay.
Because I think your points need to be heard, and I think these points need to be fleshed out in discussion, but
And we can have those documents.
I'd like to make that an agenda item
Good.
so we can have preparation and be all participants in that.
Mhm.
Thank you.
No, that's
I
good.
just want to make sure that, okay. Other board member comment.
No,
Do we want to talk hiring?
Just briefly, an update.
Sure.
We have received a number of, I think I briefly talked about this, we received a number of applicants. Hazel and I have been speaking back and forth and have decided to interview a number of folks. We hope to perhaps get that done within the next 2 weeks. At that point, we would like to come back to the board and have some discussions about exactly how we're going to go forward with the second round of interviews. Who's going to make up that interview group? Clearly, kind of the board will be making the decision. Do we want to include anyone else in the interview group? How should we go forward with that?
So we'll come up with the short, we've narrowed the pool down. We were approved at the February 4th meeting, maybe. Marianne and I to do the first round of interviews. We took the hiring committee questions that were developed in executive session and leaned heavily on those. When we have a short list, we will bring that back to the board for.
We've also developed, yeah, we developed the questions, and it was great to broke them up into both the first round and second round that we'll provide to the board, and then we can adjust them if it seems like there are people who would like to do different things. Okay,
Great.
any questions?
No, that's good. Thank you. Other board members?
I have one thing.
Sure.
I found a note in my date book from last year saying that in March, we were going to post in terms of the committees that we apply or approve of in July. We were going to post whatever openings are going to be available to people, so that if anyone wants to apply for those openings in the various committees, they're noticed in plenty of time, and then can come to us and apply. So we don't have openings without people even knowing we need folks. And I would suggest that we put it in out as an email, that we put it in the messenger for the next couple of months, and then we put it on the website. Thank you.
And in that, you have application, right? I believe we do for committees,
Committees, we certainly do. Yes.
application form.
Yep.
Okay.
I've forgotten about
If-
that.
If an incumbent wants to stay on, is that an open position? Some of these
We
committees,
decide.
are appointed annually, so
Right.
I guess
right.
they're all open. But if, yes,
Yes,
if
I
I'm
would-
if I'm on the cemetery committee and I want to stay on the cemetery committee, is my position on that committee considered open?
Well, one thing about considering it
Yes.
open would
Good question.
at least let us know very clearly who's planning to stay and who's not. If we didn't specify that, then somebody could be planning to stay and all of a sudden we have an opening
No,
and.
no, all I'm asking is
I
this.
understand.
Does Shannon need to contact all the people that are on there and saying, do you want to stay on or do you want to, or are you done? And we need to replace you.
Would
If
she have
they're
to
all
contact
open,
it
then
or
she
just
doesn't
put
need
it
to do
out?
that.
Could that just go in the posting? If your time is up, you need to let us
Oh.
know and apply.
Yeah, that's fine. If you want everybody to reapply who's already on these committees, that's a good way to do it.
I think we talked about this.
Yeah.
When we reappointed
Yeah.
into vacancies, but we talked about some of those terms are unlimited.
Well,
They don't expire.
they're up each year when you appoint them on an annual basis.
Well, we don't appoint conservation commission then.
Some are like conservation commission.
It's for a period of years.
Yes.
Yeah, they have 3-year terms. The select board has 5-year terms. The farmers
Select
market
board has
committee is
5 years.
appointed annually.
Feels like about 5 years right now.
Like 5.5.
We need to decide that tonight.
I don't think we need to decide
No.
that tonight, but,
She just needs to know how many openings to say she has.
right.
And whether she needs
I
to
would just
call
say
these
if your
people.
term is up, please fill out an
go.
application to continue serving.
I'll get the details and put it out.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, public comments. I see Ken first. Yeah, Ken.
All
right.
I'd like to invite you, Trent, or your designee to attend the Conservation Commission meeting, which is tomorrow evening. 5:30 in the library to provide what can be.
Sure.
provided and Update related to it. And
5:30 library. Wednesday.
I can't be there because I got a county meeting.
Well, they don't want three of us there, that's for
Oh,
sure,
yeah,
so
they just need one.
if Fred can make it, that's great.
Um. I believe I do not have. I'm pretty sure I don't have any conflicts tomorrow night. Basically, I just gotta check on my, my responsibility for what kid might be going what place.
Or designate.
So I'll get back to you in the morning, but as of right at this moment, I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow night. So I think skiing is off, because skiing's usually on, and that's important. So, but I will plan for that time. Thank you. Okay, other public comments.
So quite some time ago, the board directed the code enforcement officer to do whatever was necessary to resolve the Brannigan issue. For the Fairbanks Road or whatever they call it. I think that directive was given several times, as memory serves me right, and nothing has gonna be any kind of update on it.
Okay. So code issues. Can we? For next meeting, can we have update?
Yep.
Thanks.
I also, I've asked the question to several people about some money that was allocated for paving, and the paving wasn't done for 2 years in a row. I was wondering if I could get a breakdown of where that money was spent,
Sure.
and that seems to be a mystery.
Shannon, do you want to?
As of right now, I'm showing $600 in capital reserve, or 600,000 in capital reserves for paving.
This is like 3 years previous to that.
I haven't seen anything, going through the budgets, as far as disappearing.
But we went to town meeting and voted on articles, and one of the articles was capital reserve and how much money was gonna be spent on paving. We did that 2 years in a row, and 2 years in a row, no money was spent on paving.
So I
So
think,
I would just like to know where it was spent.
so I think,
If you can you tell her what years? And then she can maybe get a report out of the accounting system.
I believe it was 21 and 22.
21 and 22,
Yeah.
one of the articles from the 21-22 report.
From town meeting.
Yeah,
We have 2 roads articles, one for maintenance, one for paving.
right,
The paving one falls under capital reserve.
yeah.
In those 2 years, we raised money for something categorized as paving, didn't actually pay.
There were there was 1 year anyway where we did it the subsequent fiscal year. That,
how about,
So-
to get the specific answer,
Okay,
we'll look into that.
so 2021 and 2022, and if there's
I
any
think
other,
those are the 2 years that we didn't do.
all right, and if you think of any other details, let me know. You know where I work.
Okay, thanks. Other public comments tonight? Okay,
Oh, one more.
yep, go for it.
I reached out to the PUC, and got no results. So then I called a friend of the telephone company, who was supposed to have somebody call me back. I have a really big issue with the telephone poles not being removed after they're out of service. It's not only a townwide thing, it's statewide, it's everywhere you look, there's all these old. Large fixed objects for people to hit, extra ones. They're particularly hard in some cases to plow around, they're unsightly. And they seem like a road hazard, I mean, to have more telephone poles than you do. I've got nowhere, I don't know if. Select board or town manager. Has any control over who puts what in our roadways? Somebody must, the PUC doesn't regulate the telephone.
I'll look into it. Thank you.
Yeah, there were.
Okay. So we are. I'm gonna, if there's nothing further, I'm just gonna go ahead and make a motion. I move the board to enter, one MRSA 405-6A personnel matters.
A second.
All in favor?
So,
Right.
and we can record that,
Right about
that
that.
Betsy is frustrated.
I don't have my glasses. Oh, I can, so I
can
can't
read
read
it.
the whole.
Move
yeah.
we exit executive session. 1 MRSA section 405-6A related to personnel matters.
Second.
All in favor?
Hey.
No action to be taken. Is there a motion? I move we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in
A
favor?
third.
No, wait.